The steakhouse was alive with noisy clinking glasses, bursts of laughter, waiters weaving through tables. It was a night of celebration for one of the city's most powerful CEOs, a man who had built an empire from the ground up. He sat in the center of a large table, surrounded by former Marines, men who had once worn the uniform proudly, but whose lives had since gone in different directions. But as the night wore on, something shifted. Voices rose. Words that began as friendly banter turned sharp, then hostile. The CEO, always confident in boardrooms, found himself cornered in a situation he couldn't control. 12 Mina, broad-shouldered, scarred, eyes hardened by both war and life. He leaned in close. The other diners noticed. Whispers spread, but nobody moved. Nobody in a broken bar except for one man. In this far corner, by the window, sat a quiet figure, a single dad, his little girl's pink backpack leaning against the booth beside him. He wasn't dressed for attention. A faded jeans, an old jacket, the kind of man who blended into the background. But his eyes sharp, watchful, hadn't missed a single moment. He had tried, for years, to leave that part of his life behind, the part filled with uniforms, orders, and battlefield ghosts. Now, he was just a father trying to raise his daughter alone. Dinner tonight was supposed to be simple, a plate of fries for her, a burger for him, a rare moment of normalcy. But life has a way of calling back those who swore they were done. When the CEO's voice cracked under the pressure of 12 ex-Marines pressing closer, the little girl tugged her father's sleeve. "Dad, you broken bar, they look scary." The man didn't want to get involved. Trouble had followed him enough in life. But then he saw the look in the CEO's eyes of fear, but also something deeper, something he recognized, the kind of silent plea a soldier gives when he knows he's outnumbered, out of options. So the single dad stood. The room seemed to still. He walked slowly toward the group, his footsteps measured, almost casual, but his presence alone carried weight, the kind of weight only a man who had seen too much could carry. "Is there a problem here?" His voice was low, steady. The Marines turned to face him. Some smirked, others scoffed. One of them barked, "This ain't your fight, old man. Sit back down with your kid." But he didn't sit. Instead, he shrugged off his jacket. And that's when the room changed. On his forearm, ink faded but unmistakable, was a tattoo. Not just any tattoo. It was the insignia of a unit that only a handful of men in the world had ever belonged to. A special operations unit known for missions so brutal, so dangerous, that most never returned. The laughter died instantly. Jaws clenched. The Marines who had been circling the CEO suddenly froze. Because they knew that tattoo. One of them whispered, almost reverently, "Know why a broken bar you were there?" The single dad's eyes darkened. Memories he had spent years burying clawed their way back. Nights in the desert, firefights that lasted hours, carrying brothers through blood-soaked sand. He didn't boast about it. He never would. But the ink spoke for itself. The CEO stared in shock, realizing the man who had stepped forward wasn't just a veteran. He was someone whose quiet presence carried more honor, more authority, than all 12 Marines combined. Silence thickened until one of the ex-Marines, bigger than the rest, his jaw hard with pride, took a step forward. "That was a long time ago. Doesn't mean anything now." The single dad met his eyes. "It means everything, because it wasn't just about surviving. It was about the man we carried home, the ones we buried, the promises we made to each other. Somewhere along the way, you forgot that." The words cut deep. The men shifted uncomfortably. Memories they had tried to drown in drinks and bravado surfaced. Then, almost reluctantly, one of them lowered his head. Another followed, and one by one, the tension drained out of the group. The single dad didn't threaten. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. The tattoo spoke louder than any weapon. It was a mark of sacrifice, of unbreakable loyalty, of a brotherhood built on something greater than ego. The CEO, still shaken, looked at him. "Why a broken bar? Why did you step in?" The single dad glanced at his daughter, who was watching everything with wide eyes. He crouched down to meet her gaze and said gently, "Because sometimes, sweetheart, standing up isn't about you. It's about reminding people who they used to be." Tears filled her eyes, not because she was scared, but because she understood maybe more than he realized. The Marines left quietly, shoulders heavy, each man carrying away not shame, but a reminder of the honor they had once lived by. The CEO offered money, gratitude, promises of favors, but the single dad refused. He gathered his daughter's backpack, held her hand, and walked out the door. Because he hadn't done it for recognition. He hadn't done it to be a hero. He had done it because once, long ago, men like him made a vow to protect, to guide, to remind others of the strength of honor. And though life had given him battles far harder raising a daughter alone, carrying the weight of memories he couldn't share, he still lived by that vow. Quietly, strongly. The CEO never forgot that night. Neither did the Marines. And years later, when the story spread, it wasn't told as a bar fight or a dramatic showdown. It was told as a reminder of honor, sacrifice, and the quiet strength of a father who carried more than anyone knew. Diaris's message to leave viewers with: true strength isn't loud, it doesn't demand recognition, it lives quietly, in fathers who raise their children alone, in veterans who carry scars no one sees, and in the choices we make when no one else is brave enough to step forward.